make about 45 million pounds of chips in a quarter. That equates to about 200 million pounds of potatoes, which is quite a few. What's interesting with M&T is they're a small town bank, and as we've grown, they've also grown with us. They've got the resources that you would need in order to go big, but they also have that friendly local community feel so that it makes it seem easier than it probably is.
Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This program allows voters to get information directly from the candidates in the May 18th municipal primary election. It is a joint project of the League of Women Voters of Berks County and Berks Community Television. Both are nonpartisan organizations. They never support or oppose political parties or political candidates. Today, our featured race is County Treasurer. The treasurer is the custodian of all county monies and all county funds. The treasurer collects real estate taxes, fees, receipts, and the treasurer disperses all funds after authorization by the county controller and the county board of commissioners. The treasurer also serves as an agent of the Commonwealth in selling licenses for hunting, fishing, dogs, motorboats, gun permits, and small games of chance. The current salary is $83,971, and the term of the treasurer is 4 years. Now, in this municipal primary election, Republicans will select one of two candidates. They are the incumbent, A. Dennis Adams, and challenger, Jack Gumbach. Each will be asked the same questions in the same order with the same time limits, and each candidate's views are their own and not those of the League or BCTV. Today, our candidate is A. Dennis Williams. Welcome. A. Dennis Adams, excuse me, I said the name wrong. A. Dennis Adams, welcome. Start us off by telling us, please, and we'll give you 2 minutes for this question, why do you want to serve as treasurer, and what are your qualifications for this position?
Well, the reason for serving as going to third term is one of the things I committed to trying to do is to automate and upgrade the systems within the Treasury business. We have a new system going in for tax collection. Tax claims is already installed, and we're making those arrangements. As far as my qualifications, I'm the only one on the ticket with the qualifications. I have an undergraduate degree in economics. I graduated #1 from Pitt, in University of Pitt. I have an executive MBA in finance. I am a CMA, which if you recall is a certified management accountant, and I'm also a certified public accountant. I have about 40 years experience between working 30 years with MedEd GPU, and then 8 years with the county, and about 5 years doing private consulting. I'm past president of Reading IMA, which is the Institute of Management Accounting. I'm past president of the area, which is all of Delaware, Maryland, and PA. I'm also a past national president of that organization. And of course, I belong to the PICPA.
Thank you. And the next question will do 1 minute. And you've kind of answered it, but we'll go over it again. What kind of special training, if any, do you think a person should have in order to be treasurer?
Well, you know, state code is one thing. At practicality, the more accounting and finance you have, the stronger you can be, because the treasurer's job in Berks County is not like many of the other counties. I actually have three legs. I have the tax collection, okay, and I have tax claims as part of that. Those are two large departments. In many counties, those are separate departments. Okay, then we have the small games of chance and all the ancillary products. as well. And I have in my basket the financing, investing money for the general fund, the pension fund, and so on. So those are extremely crucial. Almost $3 billion or $750 million worth of funds that I control and invest to make more interest, more money for the county. You will note the general fund has gone up over the last several years because of the way we're investing money, even though money's tight. I move money between banks and agencies as needed.
Thank you. And again, in 1 minute, what kind of special training, if any, should the workers in the office have?
Well, there's various levels. I have, first level clerks that do the handling of the paperwork, all the way up through to my. I have two deputies. One is the deputy, the chief deputy, is Linda Weaver, and the secondary director is Nikki Blanding, who handles the tax claim side of things. Tax claims is a lot more technical than the actual collection of the normal taxes and so forth.
Tell us in 2 minutes, what 3 things do you most want to accomplish if you are elected?
Well, I want to continue what we started. The upgrading of the computer systems is something that's long overdue. It took probably 7-8 years to get funding to be able to go ahead and move forward with that process. We're moving away from the old AS400 computers, if you remember the green screens, and these also green letter screens in the hospitals and cashiers and that stuff. We're now into second generation. We went from the AS400, we're moving through to client server-based systems, which will provide a whole lot more information to the tax collectors. It will allow us to do a lot more things with the taxpayer, offering agreements, partial payments, things that we can't do today to try to make it more palatable and more streamlined for the individual taxpayers. That's probably the number one thing. We're also trying to, most of the subsidiary systems, small games of chance and hotel tax, we already have those automated. The dog license is automated. So we're going to move through the department, and as we implement these systems, we'll continue to tweak them to make them better and address the needs of the taxpayer. Full visibility. If you want to come see what we're doing, I'd be glad to show anybody at any time what we're doing. The virus bug kind of slowed us down. We don't have people in the office, but if you're interested in finance, that's what we do. I mean, the pension fund is all just shy of $600 million. So you have to have some savvy of what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the different banks and brokerage firms.
Thank you. In the next one, we'll give you 3 minutes because it's a complex thing. Berks County has 3 financial officers, the treasurer, the controller, and the budget director. Would you please explain for our viewers the functions of these offices and how they relate to each other?
Sure. Now, keep in mind, every county is a little bit different. There's county code, and they spell out what those jobs do. But some counties don't have a treasurer, or have a CFO, or vice versa. Let's start with the chief financial officer. That's the individual that actually runs the budget and all the programs for the county, and that's Bob Petruzio. He does the financials analysis. Him and I work together in putting together where do we save money, where are we going to spend money, and how does that all transpire, including like bond investments, bond payments, those type of things for large projects. I mean, to build a home, you'd have to take out bonds to do that, and we follow that and track where can we get the bonds to the best bond prices. Let's go to the controller. The controller is the spender of the accounts. All the money, all the requests for expenditures go through, if you will, through the controller. They see every income and every expense goes through. They, in turn, along with the CFO, give direction to the treasurer, who is the keeper of the money. We do the investments, we do the payouts. We do not create any invoices or things of that nature. That's all done either through the CFO and the commissioners, or through the controller. So the treasurer, you think of that, we're the banker. We get the money in, we try to get the best investments we can. We control when expenses are paid. We do all the auditing of timesheets, those type of things. Work with the auditors to make sure that things are always up and up. So the treasurer is a very important job. It's very low key, has no ability to do legislation. I mean, we do no legislation. It's not a department that has responsibilities for doing that. We're the kind of behind the scene workers.
And in 1 minute, would you tell us how you assure the safekeeping of public funds as required by law?
Well, there's a lot of rules and regulations you must listen to. I mean, funds that we invest in, general fund, have to be overnight liquid funds. Right now, we have about 210 million. We'll go up to about 225 million once the taxes are all in. That money, we've actually separated it between $100 million, which we felt we could put into a higher investment type tools, and then what I call the checkbook to do the daily payroll. Any type of expense goes through the treasurer's check, what I call the checkbook. That money is audited on a regular basis. We do annual audits and we do internal audits. And just the basic internal, if you're familiar with accounting, the internal controls that we have in place to safeguard those assets.
Thank you. And how will you as treasurer demonstrate transparency to the voters who put you in office? We have 1 minute for that.
Transparency to me is a term that the politicians developed 10, 15 years ago to try to give themselves something to talk about. Transparency means nothing. Under the federal and state laws, right to know, people can go in and request to see this information in almost any circumstances, unless it's dealing with a judge or so. We do a lot of right to know calls, and I reach out again, as I always do. If there's anybody who wants to come in the office, look at the office, talk to the auditors, they're more than happy to do that. So if you're talking transparencies, I know my opponent put on the internet that they're looking at expenses and income. Well, that's the wrong office. You can't safeguard your assets when you're looking at the wrong office. They're saying we don't have anything on the internet to justify the view. Well, they're looking at the controller's website, not the treasurer's website.
We're going to talk then about the funding cycle, and we have 2 minutes for this question. The county has many funding sources. We get money from local taxes, we get grant revenues, there are department revenues, there are third-party sources, there are interest earnings, and these funds tend to come in at different times of year. So would you explain the cycle of how money comes in and how the timing of when it comes in impacts the county treasury? And if you have any recommendations that there should be changes to how funds are managed in this yearly cycle, we'd like to hear those too. Thank you.
Well, keep in mind the funds are regulated by the county code. When a lot of that stuff is actually scheduled to come in or out. The biggest schedule is the taxes that get that go out. You have your discount in April, two months of flat, and then the rest are at penalty. That's your biggest chunk of money that you would deal. The other money comes in from grants or from state and local government or federal government at varying times. Just depends on when the programs are. We just had a program called CARES, which I think most people are familiar with because of the virus. We react to it and safeguard it, put it in the general fund, put it under the same controls and investment criteria that we do all the other monies. If the money is truly to the general fund, I then look at what is the best investment for that money. Is it bonds? Is it paper? We can now invest in commercial paper. They've changed some of the rules that we can invest in on that. But all that money under the general fund side of the house is, by law, it has to be readily available overnight. So it has to be protected. You get low interest rates, but it's, tomorrow morning, if we needed $100 million, I could go in and take it out and to pay something at the commissioner's direction or the controller's direction.
And that leads us into our next question. We'll give you 1.5 minutes for this one. One of the treasurer's function is to manage the cash flow to assure there's enough cash on hand to pay each week's bills. How would you manage cash flow?
Well, cash flow is managed every day by my people, or at least once a week. We look at what's coming in and project what's going out. We do a cash flow analysis. Bob Petruzio in the budget forecast, he does a cash flow. at a different level and different purpose. But I mean, cash flow is just, that cash is king. And that's just a normal part of the treasurer's function to know when it's coming in, when it's going out, when it's available to be invested and what level. Now, we're extremely lucky in Berks County because we have a very large purse to deal with. A lot of counties have very little. I mean, cash flow to me is something I've done a lot in private industry with, so it's just a natural to follow right into the government and look at it. We just, what I said, we just went to some paper investments, which is called, commercial paper is what it is. You can invest in that now to get the best return. And we look at each of the return requirements from the different funds, whether it's VIST or it used to be BB&T, it's now Truist. I mean, we look and invest in different places to get the most. Pliget is a investment firm from the state, which I think, Judy, you probably are familiar with Pliget. And that's a big fund. They usually pay better interest than some of the others. So we have some banks that are at 5 million, and we have others that are at 120 million.
And let's talk about investment philosophy. We have 2 minutes on this one, but the treasurer participates in and investigates decisions on investing funds. What is your philosophy for the investment of county funds? And I have a separate question on that on the retirement fund. So let's just talk about our general county funds.
Well, the general fund, the idea behind that, again, it's an overnight fund. You got to make sure that money is readily available. It flows in and out more frequency. It has to have more close attention to it from me and my staff, okay, than you do in the pension money, which you want to talk about separately. The cash flow on a daily basis, I mean, that's primarily what a treasurer does in a true treasurer sense, is follows the money and sees where we can invest to get the best return. When I say best, I always look at optimizing the return, not maximizing. If you're, as an economist, if you look at funds like that and you try to maximize them, you can get yourself in trouble because you're making a big increase in one, which might be a small fund, while it's impacting a large fund and costing you money rather than making money for you. We've gone up in probably about $10 to $11 million since I've been there in the general fund, a lot of which is due to the way we invest and get more earnings than we would normally get.
Let's then take 2 minutes and talk about the retirement fund. The county treasurer serves on the board of the Berks County Employees Retirement Fund. How should the county manage this fund, and what do you consider safe investments for a retirement fund?
That's an interesting question. We have differences at times in that. Investing your pension fund is like you investing your money every day out in the market. It's market driven. It's a lot larger piece of money to deal with, and the returns are not restricted to overnight. You can do long-term investments, which is what we normally do, because look at the county by definition is a long-lived asset. It's not like you where you have 10 years to invest in and then you're no longer investing. The pension fund of most corporations are considered long-term assets. So we invest that right now with SCI, which is a well-known, very reputable firm. We've been using them about 10 years. They give us a presentation every quarter on what appears the markets are going to do, much like if you logged on TV and went to Bloomberg and looked at the market, here's what's happening here. They do all that work behind the scenes and come in and make recommendations of where we should be moving money. Some of that's tied to the actuarial tables, and we work with licensed actuarials to determine how much money needs to be in the pension fund to cover the long-term expense of pensions for people. So I like it better because it's more intense than the day-to-day cash management and that stuff. That's more of a daily operational side.
Thank you. Changing topics, and we'll go 2 minutes on this question. Currently, citizens pay property taxes, usually by check, to city, township, and borough tax collectors. Should the county modernize tax payments by allowing credit card and bank transfers directly to the county? And what would need to change to do this?
That's exactly what I signed on to do, is to modernize the taxing system and allow us to go online and pay. If you can go online and pay your tax bill the same as you do a Boscoff bill or any other thing. Log on, pay your bill. It also will allow us to do partial payments, something that we could not do in the old system, which got us into trouble last year because payments had to be entirety. So it meant it had to be both the county and the township municipality paid at one time. Well, now we'll be able to split that. So if the taxpayer wants to spread that out, by next year, this time you'll have online capabilities to do that. When I walked in there, we were doing the old green screens, computer screens, the old stuff. Now we're moving into relational databases and object-oriented programming and to look at all that investment stuff.
Thank you. We're going to take just 1 minute for this next question to make sure we get them all in. Please explain how the Treasurer's Office interacts with county residents, and is that relationship optimal? Please explain.
Well, we react to every tax collector or every taxpayer's question. I mean, I just got, right before we got on the line, I got 2 questions to try to deal with, which we're going to go on to another call on afterwards on that. But we react to try to help the taxpayer as much as we can. Keep in mind that the taxes you pay, we're not only out to collect the taxes. We don't want to repossess homes or anything like that. So our relationship with the taxpayers, we do everything we can to give them a partial payment agreement as they get behind, where they can pay it out over years rather than or months rather than all at one time. So I think our reaction to the taxpayer is very good. Is it optimal? Well, I mean, we're always improving and trying to do things, and that's part of the new system. Will give us more information. How did you pay your taxes over the last 3-5 years? What can we do to soften the blow of taxes to the individual taxpayer? So I think we're well on way with the new system. It's far more modernized than what was there 10 years ago.
Should the treasurer play a role in supporting the local economy? And we have 1 minute for that.
In supporting the local economy in what way?
Well, that would be for, I guess, for you to say. Some people have said the treasurer should be making sure the county deals purchasing from local businesses, things like that. Is that a function that you see appropriate to the treasurer or not?
That's not really part of the treasurer's function. As you know, that's a purchasing function directed to the appropriate vendors. And I believe they do a pretty good job of trying to get to the localized businesses. The treasurer would really have, you know, if you were the purchasing agent for the commissioners and they said buy a new bulldozer, we would make sure the money is there to pay for the bulldozer, but not make a recommendation we need a new one. We try to keep the operations separated as best we can because I don't want to overlap in what you're doing. You don't want to overlap what I'm doing.
Okay, in 1 minute, do you believe the Treasurer's Office has adequate resources, including staff, to perform the responsibilities assigned to the office?
I think we're right on the money. We just finished or filled a position that was open for a year. We kept it open to try to get things done, and with the new pandemic, we didn't. We felt better to fill the position and keep people trained. Part of that goes to the fact that we want to have backups at all times for the financial side. If one of the other row officers drop a transaction or lose a record, it's not earth-shattering. But if the Treasurer Department screws up with money, I mean, it's the livelihood of the taxpayer. It's your money. We're just there to safeguard it and make sure it's properly handled. So I get enthusiastic about making sure that we're on top of what's going on with that money.
We're going to go 1 minute for this next question. Are there any improvements you would like to make in the way the Office of Treasurer functions?
Not really at this time. As I'm saying, we brought in another person, gives us the ability to cross-train, which is very important. As I said earlier, if you're going to cross-train, don't cross-train this event. If one of our people would have gotten the virus during this event, we would have had to close down the entire department under the rules. Well, that would have been devastating to the vendors, the employees, and everything. We'd have been scrambling to figure out how to get payroll paid, how to get vendors pay, and so on. So it's very important that you have a well-trained force, okay? And I could probably have used another programmer to get the system in a little bit quicker, but we're working our way through that. As you know, there's never a system goes in scot-free, no problems. There's always things that need to be tweaked and changed. So from that perspective, we could have maybe used somebody, but we're using an outside vendor to do the programming. And it's pretty well on target.
Thank you.
That was a red light, sorry.
Oh, we are ready for your closing statement, and I think we have time for about a minute and a half.
Closing statement, I would just like to tell the viewers that there's only one qualified candidate on the ballot for the treasurer's job. And that's part of the reason I'm running, because I want to make sure the department finishes out what we started with, a new system. I want to make sure that people are treated fairly, and that when I leave office there, the taxpayers of Berks County will say that was a great treasurer. We did what we could to keep things solid. But I'm the only one with the education, the experience, and the willingness to go ahead and make the hard decisions as a treasurer. And I thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you. And to our viewers, that was A. Dennis Adams, and we thank him for talking with us about his qualifications and his philosophy to be treasurer. Viewers, we'd like you to remember that the municipal primary election is May 18th. To check your registration status or to request a mail-in ballot, you can go to votespa.com. That's VOTESPA.com. And for more information on other races on your ballot, you can go to vote411.org. That's vote411.org. And we hope you will continue to watch BCTV for more candidate interviews and more information about the constitutional amendments that will be on your ballot. And I should note that though this is a primary election where people vote within their party, so the party is selecting its candidates for the fall, when there is a ballot question, everyone votes. So whether you're registered as a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, a Green, a Libertarian, whatever your party is, or if you have no party, you are still needed to come out and vote on that day. We'll be discussing some very important constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot, and we need your voice there at the polling place. I should note that not only will there be more candidate interviews coming up, but the League of Women Voters has a program, League Presents, and we'll be talking about those ballot questions on that program in April. So for the League of Women Voters, I'm Judith Cranis. Good day.
We make about 45 million pounds of chips in a quarter. That equates to about 200 million pounds of potatoes, which is quite a few. What's interesting with M&T is they're a small town bank, and as we've grown, they've also grown with us. They've got the resources that you would need in order to go big, but they also have that friendly local community feel so that it makes it seem easier than it probably is.